Welcome back, college baseball fans. We've got another fun Coach's Corner episode coming up tonight. It's actually a double interview. We're going to actually start with Coach Mike Bell, and then we'll have Devin Mesoraco, the assistant coach and former MLB All-Star. These interviews were recorded about a month ago when I was at Pittsburgh for a fall ball game, and I was trying to fix up some of the audio. I apologize. There was an amateur mistake made by myself with the mics, so there is a bit of an echo on both interviews, so I apologize for that. But let's get started with Coach Mike Bell.
Coach, it's great to be here. One thing I wanted to start off asking is how's the team looking so far this fall?
It's been great. It's been a great fall, and I think in today's world of college athletics, it's one of the things that, as coaches, how are we going to grow together? And the one thing we did have, some returners with some very big personalities, which are always a great thing. But how are you going to bring in those portal pieces, your junior college pieces, your high school prospects, and how are you going to mold them together to ultimately what you call a team? We don't want to be a bunch of individuals, but the team culture and kind of what we've been able to create here in the last 6 years going into year 7, for me, has been really neat to see as it continues to grow over these next years.
Speaking about that culture, the Grittsburg culture, it's more than just a moniker for being from Pittsburgh. How do you build that culture and how do these guys represent that?
Well, I think it's something that, whether you're from here or whether you go to school here and earn a degree, once you're part of a program here at Pitt, you take on a personality and the persona of the city, of the area. And, they talk about a city of champions with the professional teams and the history and the college athletic scene here. I think it's just something that you kind of go through and it molds and becomes part of who you are as you become part of that program.
You have a lot of guys from the Pittsburgh area as well. Is that part of your recruiting strategy, or do they actually come to you?
I think a little bit of both. I think last year, as you saw with Phil Fox and Tyler Bischke and some of these others, the recruiting world has changed. And so some of our niche has been some guys maybe have gone off to some other places and had success and have a year or two left, and that ability to come back home and impact things at a higher level or impact things in front of their family here and earn a world-class degree. It's been a really good thing for us. We've got a few pieces like that here. I think once guys kind of get a feel for what is here, they like to call it home.
One of the things you guys have exceeded expectations over the last 4 years. I mean, every year you're typically chosen last in the conference, and yet you make the ACC tournament every year. And you've done really well the last 4 years, but how do you take the program to the next step and start competing for NCAA tournament berths?
That's the goal. It's a challenge, not just for the University of Pittsburgh, but for every program in our league. When you look top to bottom, it's so deep. It's so different than what it has been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And this league continues to grow and expand. I think college athletics, college baseball in itself continues to expand, and the talent depth that you see year in and year out, out of conference games as well as in our league. But that's a challenge for us. But our guys know what they're signing up for when they come here. The blueprint's there. You've seen it with other teams in the league. You've seen it in other teams around the country. It's a matter of us taking that next step forward. We've done some really nice things here. I'm sorry, but from college graduates, professional players, taking advantage of the opportunity, some people will call conference tournament postseason play. Providing those experiences in a positive way for our guys has been a really, really neat thing to see the growth, not just in the athletic department in the school, but the baseball program itself.
Yeah, speaking of the baseball program, it feels like you have more depth than maybe you've had in recent years. I mean, you do lose Ryan Andrade, Phil Fox, and Josh Sokol on the pitching side, but you bring in a lot of talent and the development of guys like Matt Porter and Aiden Coleman, who had fantastic summers.
Yeah.
How are you looking forward to working with that depth because you are the pitching coach?
Yeah, I try to wear two hats at one time and sometimes try to stay out of their way. You're right. I like the pieces. again, kind of folding and molding them into what you know can be successful in this league, and also being successful in that next step as we try to do. But there's some key pieces coming back. They've got to continue to grow and take strides, and they have done so here in the fall. But also getting some of those new guys acclimated to what really goes on here and what we're going to compete against. We had a great challenge last week, traveling over to Cincinnati. Was a great ballpark, great program, and the pressure that they apply in their game, you kind of showed some things with our guys, and we're looking forward here tonight to kind of take another step forward.
With last season, you guys down the stretch came back and ended up making the ACC tournament, and I think the kind of the trigger for that turnaround is Ryan Andrade figured something out down the stretch. Is there something you noticed, or something he figured out, or what exactly was the adjustment there that allowed him to turn around and become the ace that you kind of expected all year?
The stuff has always been there. The athleticism's always been there. The ability to repeat. It was about getting him through the lineup the second and into the third time. And typically, his previous years and also the early stretch here, there was a lot of wasted pitches, pitch count wise. And from a health standpoint, the ability to get him to go deeper into games was very successful for us. And he threw some of his best games, middle late, Notre Dame, Florida State, even Miami. No doubt, I thought he earned every bit of his draft status. The tools, the numbers, the analytics showed what was there. And he's still a process. I mean, this guy was a bullpen guy for 2 years, really two years, 2 summers. So for us to be able to guide him and mold him and help him, and he helped us in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, that Jamie Arnold, Ryan Andrade duel towards the end of the season was something special.
Yeah.
And I'd like to, Luke brought it up in our interview a couple months ago that was the toughest pitcher he faced. And I was like, but you guys won that game. So thanks to Ryan Andrade.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, Jamie Arnold is going to go off the boards real quick this year. It's a tough angle. And, we turned around. I think, it wasn't a school record or anything, but we were not very successful that day with putting the ball in play, let alone getting hits. And Luke does a great job of what he does and runs into one. And sometimes one's enough. And we liked what we had on the mound. And sometimes 2 guys are better than one. And what Ryan and Phil were able to provide for us that day, and our defense was outstanding. And it just took one opportunity for our guys, and it just showed that, honestly, you can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country.
Speaking of Phil Fox, I mean, what a season he had.
Yeah.
I mean, a diamond in the rough in the transfer window. I mean, he's obviously undervalued a bit because of his size, and yet he just kept putting up results and basically forcing not only teams in the ACC, but MLB draft scouts to take advantage of, to take a look.
Yeah.
How are you able to find prospects like that who are undervalued elsewhere?
Well, number one, you find guys that want to be here. And that's a big part of who we want to develop, who we want to work with. We want guys that want to develop, want to be in this setting, want to challenge, because it's not going to be easy. And he's a young man that, coming off Tommy John, was working his way back through his sophomore year at Gardner-Webb. He knew he had the opportunity to come back closer to home. The metrics showed some things to us. Now, I will say that he'll tell you the biggest thing for him was the mental side of the game of baseball and the belief and the adjustment. And what he went through coming off of an injury after his freshman year and going through those growth and those growing pains his sophomore year made him even more mentally tough going into his junior year. And there's no doubt that will be a season for the ages. I think something crazy like 3 walks in all of the season. You talk about a guy attacking the zone, but attacking with elite stuff and the competition level and the success he had. It's a nice safety net to have at the back end of the game. Your team fed off his energy. He fed off of being back home. He took on that Gritzberg mantra. It was neat to see.
And you already talked about how you're the pitching coach.
Yeah.
It means because of that dual hat, you can kind of load up a little bit more on hitting coaches, and you've got a pretty special one, and who helps with some of that. I think his official is his bench coach and offensive strategist, Devin Mesoraco.
He's a jack of all trades. I'll say this. For many years, you saw big league managers always have that trusty bench coach with them. And Devin is Pittsburgh in and out. From the day that I met him at his house, and I'd already known about him through his advisor and baseball people. And this was a great matchup for both, for Devin as well as for the University of Pittsburgh baseball program. He provides so much to our program, not just his experience, but more importantly, the person he is and how he's around our guys each and every day. The knowledge from catching, how he's worked with pitchers, understanding the game, the easy pulse, because it's not always going to be easy. And, he's been a joy to have. Hopefully we can continue to hold on to him because I think he really enjoys being out here with these guys as well.
That's what I was going to say. With the players, that's got to be an extra benefit as well, that you can turn to a former Major League All-Star who's been there and has been to the show and everything. And that's got to be an extra boost as well to get a draw to come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and these guys are student athletes. So in the early years, Devin was, when I say his high school draft pick, he was finishing up his degree. So we'd go on the road and he'd hold study hall and he'd ask guys, what's your GPA? Like, he's like, I got a 3.8. What's the big deal? Like, come on now. He finished things up last summer. He likes to brag about that. But no, he brings a lot to our program in a lot of different ways. At the end of the day, it's about people. And we do have some truly special people here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, nothing to motivate you like, hey, coach, this has got a better GPA than me. I gotta pick it up.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you brought back a couple of former players onto the coaching staff as well. What's it like to have those guys come back and be able to, again, stay and continue that culture?
Shows a growth. I think in today's world, growth, culture, those kind of things, I think it means a lot to show that, number one, they want to continue to be a part about something. We talk a lot in our life skills program here about Pittsburgh, about how we're mentoring and molding the future of tomorrow and preparing the leaders of tomorrow. As we prepare in life after baseball, if I can't hire my own guys, I'm not doing my job. And Matt Gilbertson did a great job pitching here, went off and was an NAIA coach in California for a year and had the opportunity to come back in our director of player development role. Jack Anderson, who had a successful career here, hit a lot of home runs. They tend to get further and further in distance each and every year he works here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he does a phenomenal job running our day-to-day operations here. They're both going to be outstanding coaches one day. This is their opportunity to learn on the fly, but learn at a high level.
What are you most excited about this team in general heading ahead of the spring season?
I think what you just said, team. It's not just one part of it. It's all phases: pitching, defense, base running. It's the offensive quality of bats. It's how we go through the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations and the grind of the season, the travel. But more importantly, enjoying each other and enjoying every moment. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you probably need to find something else. These guys really enjoy what we're doing each and every day. And I think that paid a lot of success and dividends for us on the back end of the year last year when things weren't really going well through the middle of the season and the grind. But I thought it prepared them. So they've put the work in. They're continuing to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And we're going to hit the heavy phase here in about a week and a half as we wrap things up. But I'm excited to see the growth because I can already tell this is a team when I say that we'll bond.
You came up as a player at Florida State. You coached at Florida State in Tennessee and somebody else that I'm forgetting.
Oklahoma.
Thank you. But this seems like a special, unique place. Those places are as well, but like in terms of the culture, not just of the school and the team, but like the entire city. And you touched on it a little bit, but
it's one of the things that drew me here. Been a lot of places, seen a lot of things, met a lot of great people. Don't know it all. I try to continue to learn each and every day. As I tell our guys, this game will continue to teach you if you allow it. It's not only going to teach you about baseball. It teaches you about life. And there's not a better way to prepare these guys for life. And in my years at Tennessee, Oklahoma, going back to Florida State, the coaches, the players that I had the pleasure of working with, they made me a better coach. Keep a lot of those relationships and continue to watch those guys strive, not only as big leaguers in the playoffs right now, but businessmen and husbands. And, they're sending pictures of their kids nowadays. And it just means I'm starting to get a little older as I turned 52 last week. But, it's been a journey. This place, the people here, the opportunity here is what brought us here. And it's what we want to continue to provide for this university, this athletic department, because we still feel like there's more to come.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about the program is how it embraces the entire culture of the city and everything. And again, you have a ton of hometown Pitt guys.
Yeah.
it's really special to see, and I really appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing a really good Pitt team in 2025.
Well, we're looking forward to it too. Like you said, we still have a lot of unfinished business. I'm not saying we need to kick the door down, but we need to continue to take those steps. And we've always tried to say, let's avoid the peaks and valleys and let's just make that steady climb. And when time comes, we know we're going to be where we need to be.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that first segment of our double header interview tonight. Mike Bell, one of the great coaches in the conference, one of the underrated coaches in the conference, in my opinion. Now let's talk again and highlight another one of the great assistant coaches in the ACC with Devin Mesoraco, the former MLB All-Star with the Cincinnati Reds. He is one of the top assistants at Pittsburgh. Great guy to talk to. Let's get right into that interview. So Devin Mesoraco here. Great to have you here. Thanks for doing this. And first thing I want to talk about is I was a little surprised because I didn't know your connection to Pittsburgh, but when I was looking at the Pittsburgh roster a couple of years ago and I saw your name on there, what drew you to Pittsburgh and how have you enjoyed the experience?
Yeah, so whenever I was still playing, we built a house here in Pittsburgh. I'm a Western Pennsylvania guy. So when this opportunity kind of presented itself, reaching out to Coach Bell and trying to find a way to bring me on, it really drew a lot because I have a lot of passion for the region, right? Like kids from Western Pennsylvania, I always followed them whenever I was playing. And just being able to give back and help the kids that grow up in this region baseball-wise, it really drew to me just to do something in the area that I grew up. Means a lot.
You got drafted right out of high school. We talked about this a little bit off camera, but you didn't get to go to college originally as a baseball player. Have you been getting to enjoy that college experience and gotten your degree and everything? Have you been enjoying that?
I love it. Right? Like I truly love the college game. And I told this to Coach Bell the first year that I was on. We went down to Florida State. We played a weekend series down there early in the season. Every game in college baseball is like a big league playoff game. You know, the games mean so much. The way they use your bullpen is different than the regular major league season. Every game has such an importance that you get into college baseball, and I was unfamiliar with it, right? Like I had no idea what I was getting into. But once I got here and got the feeling and got the understanding of what this is all about, I've grown to love it. The atmosphere at a college game, the team atmosphere where everybody's pulling just to go win a game on a Friday, go win a game on a Saturday. Those things are what keep me around, you know? Like I love it. That aspect of college, I think is underappreciated in the general public. They don't really understand that you've got 56 games and those conference games mean so much that I've really grown to love college baseball.
Yeah, Coach Bell just mentioned when you were part-time still and getting your degree, you were able to help motivate some of the players to do study halls because you yourself needed to study, so you were able to get the full experience.
I was in classes grinding just as much as those guys, so I knew what they were going through. That's been very cool where I can relate to them and really give back on the field, but also off and understand that there's more to life. There's more to what we're doing here than just playing ball, you know? Like, there's a reason to be in college. There's a reason to get your degree, and if I could pass that on to some guys, that's important.
Yeah, I think that's something some of the casual fans of college baseballs don't really remember is that these are D1 athletes, but they're also students that have a full schedule, and so it's a pretty demanding one. So it's nice that, they had somebody that was going through the same thing they could rely on.
Totally, yeah. I'm able to talk to those guys not just about stuff on the field, but stuff off, and hopefully I can make a difference. These kids are, some of our guys are still 18. They're 18 to 22-year-olds. These kids are at a point in their life where they can be very influenced. So if I can give them good influences on and off the field, I think that's very important.
You were committed to UVA out of high school, so you could have been an ACC guy. Do you have a little soft spot for UVA still? Or
Totally. I think if you look at UVA and the way that they run their program and the people that are there, it's hard not to be cheering for those guys when they don't play Pitt.
Right.
They
which is they found out their detriment outside of last year.
We've had some good success against them. They got us pretty good there last year. They have an unbelievable program. They do things the right way. They treat kids great. I have nothing but respect for Coach O'Connor, Coach McMullen, who recruited me out of high school. After seeing this side of things from my end, I know that I made the right decision at that time to go to UVA, and it didn't work out that way, and that's okay. But yeah, those guys, I have nothing but respect for the way their program.
Is it a little bit of a strange, because like it comes full circle because they recruited you and they're still there?
They might be the only ones that are still around from whenever I was being recruited in 2005. You know, like that's crazy the way that things have worked out. And again, nothing but respect. Those guys run a great program. They do things the right way.
Now, you were a Major League All-Star, but one of your big claim to fame right now is that Joey Votto only follows one person, and for some reason, it's one teammate at least. At least this is somebody you didn't even know. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Luke Cantwell, who I feel like has some Joey Votto vibes. I mean, he plays first base. He doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
And he walks a lot.
True.
So does he give you any vibes like Joey did?
So I think that the same aspects of like every at-bat is so precious. Joey, he never gave an at-bat away, right? There was never a situation where he went up there and rolled over the first pitch and didn't have a good at-bat. And maybe he did, but it never felt that way. And Luke is very much the same in that regard, where the pitcher knows what they're getting into when they have to face Luke Cantwell. And Joey was the same way. He's going to grind. He's going to battle. He's going to do everything he can to get on base. So in that respect, yes, they're definitely similar.
One of the things I love about this program is the grit. And I know that moniker's thrown around like it's just because this is Pittsburgh and it's Pittsburgh, but this team fights. Like, how do you help with that culture that's been built here to keep this team motivated and fighting? Because they can get knocked down, and yet they'll come back next week and be a tough out and sometimes steal a series here.
Yeah, definitely. I think in 2001, that's kind of when the Gritsburg mentality came around, and it was just organic. You know, it isn't something that I want to say that I was the mayor of Gritsburg at that time. I kind of came up with that moniker, and it wasn't. I only came up with it. I didn't embody it. That was our guys on the field.
That was 2021, right?
Yeah, 2021. Okay. We had Sky Duff at third base. Nico Popo was our outfielder. And those guys, they were at a point in their careers when they were really tired of getting beat, and they were going to do whatever it took to win. And so whether it was a hit by pitch or getting a dirt ball read, something like that, those guys just really took that on, and I think that they created that culture. The players did, and I was just the one that came up with the term. So yeah, it's good. We want to carry it on, but these guys got to go earn it. You know, it ain't something that we can talk about it all they want, but that gets done on the field, and that's up to the players.
How do you help take this program to the next step? I mean, 4 straight years they've gotten into the ACC tournament, exceeded expectations, but at what point what's the next step to competing for NCAA tournament berths?
That's what we're here to do. You know, Coach Bell always preaches this is about championships, ACC championships, NCAA. That's what we're here to do. And I think that this group that we have this upcoming season understands that we need to go out there and win some ball games. And you can do whatever you want, and you can talk about whatever you want, but it's a matter of executing. It's a matter of doing it out on the field. So I look forward to watching these guys compete. I know that they will. And when it comes to making those next steps, it's up to our guys. You know, it's really up to our guys to go out there and show that, hey, we can compete with anybody on any given day.
You've brought in a lot of talent, and you've got a lot of guys who've developed and are, making freshman and sophomore year jumps or had big summers. Is there anyone that's really surprised you with how they stood out this fall, or anyone you're particularly excited about? I mean, obviously there's a lot to be excited about, but is there anyone that's really stood out?
I think we have a bunch of guys that I'm very happy with the progress they made. You know, I think if you look up and down the field, we have a really good group of sophomores that have been here a year and have got some experience. We have some really good older guys that have provided some leadership. And we also have some guys that we brought in from different places that are going to get opportunities. So it's a really good mix of guys from different buckets. Some guys that are really talented that have a bunch of tools that can play the game. Some guys that are really gritty kids that, you know, really get good at bat. So I like the overall mix that we have. When it comes to like individuals, I'm very hopeful for all of our guys that some of those kids can take the next step, and some will get to prove themselves in the ACC.
Last question I wanted to ask is on a pitcher, Aiden Coleman has been. He was midweek starter a lot of last year. Really good looking guy, pitcher. What do you think of his future and the possibilities he's got there? 'Cause he could be a pretty high draft pick.
Yeah, we're
down the line.
very hopeful for Aiden. Aiden had a great summer. He went up to Newport and I think he led the league in strikeouts, led the league in wins. He's really made some strides. Aiden was always a guy that could pitch, you know? So he's still learning himself as far as this is going to play here, or this is going to play good against left-handed hitters. Very hopeful for his future, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Wow, that was fantastic. Always a good talk. It was an absolutely amazing experience to be up there in Pittsburgh, get to interview both those guys in person, and finally get this produced for you guys. And we will continue our Coach's Corner series in a couple of days on Thursday. Mark is actually going to fill in for me. He's going to interview Stanford head coach David Esker, who is now a member of the Atlantic Coast Conference. So really excited for that interview. Mark did a great job there. So that'll be Thursday. It'll be a little bit later because we want to make sure we get the Stanford audience. So it'll be a 10 p.m. Eastern start for that on Twitter and X, but of course, and YouTube. And of course, you can see that at any point after we've aired it on YouTube under our past live streams. So tune into that Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. It's going to be a good one. Until next time,